Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Magnanatimirandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Darati Swaparantikam. वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवंश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं सर्वैतं सवधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्त नमोऽस्तु ते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये पञ्चाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमां विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणि प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवारि पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् शृण्वतं स्वागतः कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तनारित्यन्दस्तो भद्राणि वितुनुति सुहृत्सताम् नस्तप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतस्य सेवया भागवति उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी Before reciting the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the person of Godhead Narayana, unto Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Shravyasada, the author. Sri Krishna, the person of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, super soul, in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee, who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the person of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai. Hare Krishna, Prabhu Standar Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada. Who would like to start reading? New chapter.
You can read now. Chapter 2. The activities of Maharaj Agnidhara. In this chapter, the character of Maharaj Agnidhara is described. When Maharaj Priyavrata went off for spiritual realization, his son Agnidhara became the ruler of Jambudvipa in accordance with Maharaj Priyavrata's instructions and maintained its residence with the same affection a father feels for his sons. Once Maharaj Agnidhara desired to have a son, and therefore he entered a cave of Mandara mountain to practice austerity. Understanding his desire, Lord Brahma sent a celestial girl named Purvachitti to Agnidhara's hermitage. After addressing herself very attractively, she presented herself before him with various feminine movements, and Agnidhara was naturally attracted to her. The The girl's expressing smi- expressions, the girl's actions, expressions, smiles, sweet words, and moving eyes were fascinating to him. Agnidhara was expert in flattery. Thus he attracted the celestial girl, who was pleased to accept him as her husband because of his mellifluous words. She enjoyed royal happiness with Agnidhara for many years before returning to her abode in the heavenly planets. In her womb, Agnidhara begot 9 sons. Nabi, King Purusha, Airavarsha, Ilavrita, Ramyaka, Hiranyamala, Kuru, Bhadrashva, and Ketumala. He gave them 9 islands with names corresponding to theirs. Agnidra, however, his senses unsatisfied, was always thinking of his celestial wife, and therefore, in his next life, he was born in her celestial planet. After the death of Agnidra, his 9 sons married 9 daughters of Meru, named Meru Devi, Pratiprupa, Ugradamshri, Lata, Ramya, Syama, Nari, Bhadra, and Deva Viti. Text 1. Shri Shukavacha एवं पितरि सम्प्रवत्ते तदनुशासने वर्तमान अग्निध्रो जम्बूद्वीपोऽक्षा प्रजा औरसवत् धर्मवीक्षामन पर्या गोपयात् synonyms. Shri Shukdev Goswami Vacha said, Evam, thus Pitri, when his father Sampravate took to the path of liberation, Tat Anushasani, according to his order, Vartamana, situated, Agnitra, King Agnitra, Jambudvipa Oksha, the inhabitants of Jambudvipa, Praja, citizens, Aurashavad, as if they were his sons, Dharma, religious principles, Avekshamana, strictly observing, Pariyo, Pariya Gopayat, completely protected. Translation Prabhupada Benjamin Grace is selected and some Shivta Part ki jai. Translation Shri Shukdev Goswami continued. After his father's after his father, Maharaj Priyavrata, departed to follow the spiritual life by undergoing austerities, King Agnidra completely obeyed his order. Strictly observing the principles of religion, he gave full protection to the inhabitants of Jambudvipa, as if they were his own begotten sons. Purport: following the instruction of his father, Maharaj Priyavrata, Maharaj Agnidra ruled the inhabitants of Jambudvipa according to religious principles. These principles are exactly contrary to the modern principles of faithlessness, as clearly stated here. The king protected the citizens the way a father protects his begotten children. How he ruled the citizens is also described here. Dharma Vekshamana, strictly according to the religious principles. It is the duty of the executive head of a state to see that the citizens strictly follow religious principles. The Vedic religious principles begin with Varnashrama Varnas, the duties of 4 Varnas and 4 Ashramas. Dharma refers to principles given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The first principle of Dharma or religion is to observe the duties of the 4 orders as enjoined by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. According to people's qualities and activities, society should be divided into Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras, and then again into Brahmacharis, Grihasthas, Vanaprasthas, and Sannyasis. These are religious principles, and it is the duty of the head of the state to see that his citizens strictly follow them. He should not merely act officially. He should be like a father who is always a well-wisher of his sons. Such a father strictly observes whether his sons are performing their duties, and sometimes he also punishes them. Just contrary to the principles mentioned here, the presidents and chief executives in the age of Kali are simply tax collectors who do not care whether religious principles are observed. Indeed, the chief executives of the present day introduce all kinds of sinful activities. especially illicit sex, intoxication, animal killing, and gambling. These simple activities are now very prominently manifested in India. Although 100 years ago, these four principles of sinful life were strictly prohibited in the families of India. They have now been introduced into every Indian family. Therefore, they cannot follow religious principles. In contrast to the principles of the kings of old, the modern state is concerned only with the propaganda of living taxes and is no longer responsible for the of spiritual welfare of the citizens. The state is now callous to religious principles. Srimad Bhagavatam predicts that in the Kali Yuga, the government will be entrusted with Dasya Dharma, which means the occupational duty of rogues and thieves. Modern heads of the state are rogues and thieves who plunder the citizens instead of giving them protection. Rogues and thieves plunder without regard for law. But in this age of Kali, as stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the lawmakers themselves plunder plunder the citizens. The next prediction to be fulfilled, which is already coming to pass, is that because of the sinful activities of the citizens and the government, the rain will become increasingly scarce. Gradually, there will be complete drought and no production of food, grains. People will be reduced to eating flesh and seeds, and many good, spiritually inclined people will have to forsake their homes because they will be too harassed by drought, taxation, and famine. The Krishna consciousness movement is the only hope to save the world from such devastation. It is the most scientific and authorized movement for the actual welfare of the whole human society. Text 2. Sacha kadachit pitraloka kama suravara वनिताक्रीडचला द्रोण्यं भगवन्तं विश्वसृजं पतिम् उद्धरता परिचारयोपकरणा आत्मैकाग्रेण तपस्या अर्धयं बभूव synonyms. Saha, he, King Agnidhara, Cha, also, Kadachit, once upon a time, Pitraloka, the Pitraloka planet, Kama, desiring, Suravara, of the great demigods, Vanita, the woman, Akrida, the place of pastimes, Achaladronyam, in one valley of the Mandara hill, Bhagavantam, and to the most powerful Lord Brahma, Vishwasrijan, of personalities who have created this universe, Patim, the master, Abhi, Abrata, having collected, Paricharya Upakarana, ingredients for worship, Atma, of the mind, Eka Agrena, with full attention, Tapasvi, one who executes austerity, Ardhayam Babuva, became engaged in worshipping. Translation: desiring to get a perfect son and become an inhabitant of Pitraloka, Maharaj Agnidra once worshipped Lord Brahma, the master of those in charge of material creation. When he went to a valley of Mandara hill, where the damsels of the heavenly planets come down to stroll. There he collected garden flowers and other necessary paraphernalia and then engaged in severe austerities and worship. Purport: the king became Pitraloka Kama, or desirous of being transferred to the planet named Pitraloka. Pitraloka is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, Yanti Deva Vrita Devan Pitrin Yanti Pitravrita. To go to this planet, one needs very good sons who can make offerings to Lord Vishnu and then offer the remnants to their forefathers. The purpose of the Shraddha ceremony is to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, so that after pleasing Him, one may offer prasada to one's forefathers and in this way make them happy. The inhabitants of Pitraloka are generally men of the Karmakandiya or fruitive activities category who have been transferred there because of their pious activities. They can stay there as long as their descendants offer them Vishnu Prasada. Everyone in heavenly planets, such as Pitraloka, however, must return to the earth after exhausting the effects of his pious activities, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 9.21. Shrine Punne Martyalokam Vishanti. Persons who perform pious acts are transferred to higher planets, but when the effects of their pious acts are over, they are again transferred to earth. Since Maharaj Priyavrata was a great devotee, how could he have begotten a son who desired to be transferred to Pitraloka? Lord Krishna says, Pitrinyanti Pitrivrata. Persons who desire to go to Pitraloka are transferred there. Similarly, Yanti Madhyajinopima. Persons who desire to be transferred to the spiritual planets, Vaikuntha Lokas, can also have desired to be transferred to the spiritual world, Vaikuntha Loka. Can also go there. Since Maharaj Agnidhara was the son of a Vaishnava, he should have desired to be transferred to the spiritual world, Vaikuntha Loka. Why then he desired to be transferred to Pitraloka? In answer to this, Goswami Giridhara, one of the Bhagavatam commentators, remarks that Agnidhara was born when Maharaj Priyavrata was infatuated by lusty desires. This may be accepted as a fact because sons are begotten with different mentalities according to the time of their conception. According to the Vedic system, therefore, before a child is conceived, the Garbhadhana Samskara is performed. This ceremony molds the mentality of the father in such a way that when he plants his seed in the womb of his wife, he will beget a child whose mind will be completely saturated with a devotional attitude. At the present moment, however, there are no such Garbhadhana samskaras, and therefore people generally have a lusted attitude when they beget children. Especially in this age of Kali, there are no Garbhadhana samskaras. Everyone enjoys sex with his wife like a cat or a dog. Therefore, according to Shastric injunctions, almost all of the people of this age belong to the Shudra category. Of course, although Maharaj Abnedra had a desire to be transferred to the Pitraloka, this does not mean that his mentality was that of a Shudra. He was a Kshatriya. Maharaj Agnidhara desired to be transferred to Pitraloka and therefore he needed a wife because anyone desiring to be transferred to Pitraloka must leave behind a good son to offer yearly pinda or prasada from Lord Vishnu. To have a good son, Maharaj Agnidhara wanted a wife from the from a family of demigods. Therefore, he went to Mandara Hill, where the women of demigods generally come to worship Lord Brahma. In the Bhagavad Gita 4.12, it is said, Kanksh- Kankshanta Karmanam Siddhim Yajanta Ir Devata. Materialists who want quick results in the material world, worship demigods. This is also confirmed in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Sri Aishwarya Prajepsava. Those who are desirous, beautiful wives, substantial wealth, and many sons worship the demigods. But an intelligent devotee, instead of being entangled by the happiness of this material world in the form of beautiful wife, material opulence, and children, desires to be immediately transferred. back to the Godhead. Thus, he worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu. Text 3. Tad upalabhya Bhagavan Adipurusha Sada Si Gayantim Purva Chittim Nama Sa Rasa Abhip Ya Payam Asa. Synonyms: that, Upalabhya, understanding; Bhagavan, the most powerful; Adi Purusha, the first created being within this universe; Sadashi, in his assembly; Gayantin, dancing girl; Purva Nama, named; Apsaram, the heavenly dancing girl; Abhiyapayam, Asa, sat down, sent down. Translation: understanding King Agnidra's desire, the first and most powerful created being of this universe, Lord Brahma selected the best of the dancing girls in his assembly, whose name was Purvachitti, and sent her to the king. Purport: in this verse, the words Bhagavan Adipurusha are significant. Bhagavan Adipurusha is Lord Krishna. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Lord Krishna is the original person. In Bhagavad Gita, he is also addressed by Arjuna as Purusham Adyam, the original person, and he is called Bhagavan. In this verse, however, we see that Lord Brahma is described as Bhagavan Adi Purusha. The reason he is called Bhagavan is that he fully represents the Supreme Personality of Godhead and is the firstborn creature in this universe. Lord Brahma could understand Maharaj Agnidra's desire because he is as powerful as Lord Vishnu. As Lord Vishnu, situated as Paramatma, can understand the desire of the living entity, so Lord Brahma can also understand the living entity's desire, for Vishnu, as a via medium, informs him. As stated in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 1.1.1, Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye. Lord Vishnu informs Lord Brahma of everything from within his heart. Because Maharaj Apnidra specifically worshipped Lord Brahma was pleased, and he sent Purvachitti, the Apsara, to satisfy him. Text 4. Sachitat ashramopavanam atiramaniyam vividha nibida vitapi vitapa nikara samshlita purata latarudha स्थलविहा गमा मिथुनैः प्रोच्चयामनः श्रुतिभिः प्रतिबोधयामनः सलिलकुक्कुटकर्णलवा कलहसादिभिर्विचित्रम् उपकूजितमला जलस्य साय कमलकरम् उपबाभ्रमा. Synonyms: Saha, she, Purvachitti, Cha, also, Tat, of Maharaj Agnitra, Ashrama, of the place of meditation, Upavanam, the park, Ati, very, Ramaniyam, beautiful, Vividha, varieties of, Nibda, dense, Vitapi, trees, Vitapa, of branches and twigs, Nikara, masses, Samshlita, attached, Purata, golden, Lata, with creepers, Aruda, going high, Sthala Vihangama, of land birds, Mithunai, with pairs, Prochamana, vibrating, Shrutivi, pleasing sounds, Pratibodhayamana, responding, Salila Kukuta, waterfall, Karandava, ducks, Kalahamsa, with various kinds of swans, Adivi, and so on, Vichitram, variegated, Upakujita, resounding with the vibration, Amala, clear, Jala Asya, in the lake, Kamala Karam, the source of lotus flowers, Brahma, began to walk in. Translation: the Apsara, sent by Lord Brahma, began strolling in a beautiful park near the place where a king was meditating and worshipping. The park was beautiful because of its dense green foliage and golden creepers. There were pairs of varied birds such as peacocks, and in a lake there were ducks and swans, all vibrating very sweet sounds. Thus the park was magnificently beautiful because of the foliage, the clear water, the lotus flowers, and sweet singing of various kinds of birds. Text 5. तस्य सुललिता गमनपादविनयसा गतिविलसयश्चानुपदं खना खन- खनायमान रुचिराचरणाभरणा स्वानम् उपकर्ण्य नरदेव कुमार समाधि योगेन मिलितनयन नलिनकुलयुगलं ईषद् विकाच्य व्याचष्ट. Synonyms: Tasya, of her Purvachitti, Sulalita, a very beautiful, Gamana, movements, Padavini Yasa, with styles of walking, Gati in with progression, Vila Thaya, whose past tense Cha also, Anupadam with every step, Kana Kanayamana, making a tinkling sound, Ruchira, very pleasing, Charna Avarana, of the ornaments on the feet, Swana, the sound, Upakarnya, hearing, Naradeva Kumara, the prince, Samadhi and ecstasy yogena by controlling the senses. Amilita, half open, Nayana, eyes, Nalina of lotus, Mukula, birds, Yugalam, like a pear, Ishat, slightly, Vichakya, Vikachaya, opening, Vyachashta, saw. Translation: as Purvachitti passed by the road, as Puruchiti passed by on the road in a very beautiful style and mood of her own, the pleasing ornaments of her ankles tinkled with her every step. Although Prince Agnidhara was controlling his senses, practicing yoga with half-open eyes, he could see her with his lotus-like eyes, and when he heard the sweet tinkling of her bangles, he opened his eyes slightly more and could see that she was just nearby. Purport: it is said that yogis always think of Supreme Personality of Godhead within their hearts. Dhyanavastita Dhyanavastita Tadgatena Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yogina. Bhagavatam 12.13.1. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is always observed by yogis who practice controlling the venomous senses. As recommended in Bhagavad Gita, yogis should practice samprekshya naishkakram, keeping their eyes half open. If the eyes are closed completely, there will be a tendency to sleep. So-called yogis sometimes practice a fashionable form of yoga by closing their eyes and meditating. But we have actually seen such so-called yogis sleeping and snoring while meditating. This is not practice of yoga. To actually practice yoga, one should keep his eyes half open and gaze at the tip of his nose. Although Agnidhara, the son of Priyavrata, was practicing mystic yoga and trying to control his senses, the tinkling sound of Purvachitti's ankle bells disturbed his practice. Yoga Indriya Samyama. Actually, yoga practice means controlling the senses. One must practice mystic yoga to control the senses, but the sense control of a devotee who fully engages in the service of the Lord with his purified senses Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam can never be disturbed. Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati therefore stated, Durdan Tendriya Kalasarpa Patali Protkata Damstrayate Yate. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Chandramrita 5. The practice of yoga is undoubtedly good because it controls the senses which are like venomous serpents. When one engages in devotional service, however, completely employing all the activities of his senses in the service of the Lord, the venomous quality of the senses is completely nullified. It is explained that a serpent is to be feared because of its poisonous fangs. But if those fangs are broken, the serpent, although it seems fearsome, is not at all dangerous. Devotees therefore may see hundreds and thousands of beautiful women with fascinating bodily movements and gestures, but not be allured, whereas such women would make ordinary yogis fall. Even advanced yogi Vishwamitra broke his mystic practice to unite with Menaka and begot a child known as Shakuntala. The practice of mystic yoga, therefore, is not sufficiently strong to control the senses. Another example is Prince Priyavrata, Prince Agnidra, whose attention was drawn to the movements of Purvachitti, the Apsara, because he heard the tinkling of her ankle bells, in the same way that Vishwamitra Muni was attracted by the tinkling bangles of Menaka. Prince Agnidhara, upon hearing the tinkling bangles of Purvachitti, immediately opened his eyes to see her beautiful movements as she walked. The prince was also very handsome. As described herein, his eyes were just like the buds of lotus flowers. As he opened his lotus-like eyes, he could immediately see that the Apsara was present by his side. Thank you, Prabhu. If anyone, Prabhu, somebody wants to continue.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna,
Thank you,
Lapan,
Prabhu.
Prabhu, Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Stand Prabhupada.
Can you read, Prabhu?
Oh, no problem. Quickly, Prabhu.
Oh, yes, Prabhu.
No problem.
Oh, this is a really long one. Text number 6. Text number 6. Tam eva vidure madhukarimiva sumanasa upajikrantim divija manuja mano nayana lada dugair kativihara vrita vinaya valoka susvarakshara vayavair manasi nirnam kushumayudasya vidadatim Vivaram Nijamukha Vigalitamritasava Sahasa Bhashana Muda Madanda Madhukara Nikaro Parodena Druta Pada Vinyasena Valgupspandanastana Kalasha Kabarabara Rashanam Devim Tadavalokanena विवृत्तावसरस्य भगवतो मकरदव्यस्त्वजस्य वशम् उपनीतो जदवत् इति होवाच. Tam to her, Eva indeed, Avidure nearby. Madhu Karimiva like a honeybee, Sumanasa, beautiful flowers, Upajikrantim, smelling. Divi Ja, of those born in the heavenly planets. Manuja, of those born in human society. Manaha, mind. Nayana, for the eyes. Ahlada, pleasure. Tukai, producing. Gati, by her movement. Vihara by pastimes, Vrida by shyness, Vinaya by humility, Avaloka by glancing, Susvara Akshara by her sweet voice, Avyavai by the limbs of the body, Manasi in the mind, the Nam of man, Kusuma Ayudasya of Cupid, who has a flower arrow in his hand. Vida the tea making, Vivaram oral reception, Nijamukha from her own mouth. Vikalita pouring out, Amrita Sava nectar like honey, Ha Sahasa in her smiling, Bhashana and talking, Amoda by the pleasure, Madanda blinded by intoxication, Madhukara of peace, Nikara by groups, Uparodhana because of being surrounded, Druta hasti, Pada of feet, Vinyasana by stylish stepping, Algu a little, Spandana moving, Stana breasts, Kalasha like water pots, Kabara of her braids of hair, Bara weight, Rashanam of the belt upon the hips, Devim the goddess, Tat Avalokanena simply by seeing her, Vivritta, Vivritta Avasarasya, taking the opportunity of, Bhagavata of the greatly powerful, Makaradvajasya of Cupid, Vasam under the control, Upanita being brought in, Jadavat as if stunned, iti thus, ha certainly, Uvasha, he said. Translation. Like a honeybee, the Apsara smelled the beautiful and attractive flowers. She could attract the minds and vision of both humans and demigods by her beautiful movements, her shyness and humility, her glances, the very pleasing sounds that poured from her mouth as she spoke, and the motion of her limbs. By all these qualities, she opened for Cupid, who bears an arrow of flowers, a path of aura reception into the minds of men. When she spoke, nectar seemed to flow from her mouth. As she breathed, the bees, mad for the taste of her breath, tried to hover about her beautiful lotus-like eyes. Disturbed by the bees, she tried to move hastily, but as she raised her feet to walk quickly, her hair, the belt on her hips, and her breasts, which were like water jugs, also moved in a way that made her extremely beautiful and attractive. Indeed, she seemed to be making a path for the entrance of Cupid, who is most powerful. Therefore, the prince, completely subdued by seeing her, spoke to her as follows. Purport. How a beautiful woman's movements and gestures, her hair and the structure of her breast, hips, and other bodily features attract the minds not only of men but of demigods also is very finely described in this statement. The words Divija and Manuja specifically emphasize that the attraction of feminine gestures is powerful everywhere within this material world, both of this planet and in the higher planetary systems. It is said that the standard of living in the higher planetary systems is thousands and thousands of times higher than the standard of living on this planet. Therefore, the beautiful bodily features of the woman there are also thousands and thousands of times more attractive than the features of the woman on earth. The Creator has constructed women in such a way that their beautiful voices and movements and the beautiful feature of their hips, their breasts, and other parts of their bodies attract the members of the opposite sex, both on Earth and other planets, and awaken their lusty desires. When one is controlled by Cupid or the beauty of a woman, he becomes stunned like matter, such as stone. Captivated by the material movements of a woman, he wants to remain in this material world. Thus, one's promotion to the spiritual world is checked simply by seeing the beautiful bodily structure and movements of woman. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has therefore warned all devotees to beware of the attraction of beautiful women and materialistic civilization. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu even refused to see Prataparudra Maharaj because he was a very opulent person in material world. Lord Chaitanya said in this connection, Niskinchanasya Bhagavad Bhavajonmukhasya. Those who are engaged in the devotional service of the Lord because they are very serious about no. Those who are engaged in the devotional service of the Lord because they are very serious about going back to home, back to Godhead, should be very careful to avoid seeing the beautiful gestures of women and should avoid seeing persons who are very rich. Niskincanasya Bhagavat Bhajano Mukhasya Param Param Jigamishodbhavasagarasya Sandarshanam Vishayinam Atayoshitam Cha Ha Hanta Hanta Visha Bhakshanantopya Asadu. Alas, for a person who is seriously desiring to cross the material ocean engaged in transcendental loving service of the Lord without material motive, seeing a materialist engaged in sense gratification or seeing a woman who is similarly interested is more abominable than drinking poison willingly. Madhya Lila 11:8. One who is serious about going back home, back to Godhead, should not contemplate the attractive features of woman and the opulence of rich men. Such contemplation will check one's advancement in spiritual life. Once the devotee is fixed in Krishna consciousness, however, these attractions will not agitate his mind. Hmm. Can I read one more? Katvam chikarshasi chakim munivarya maya sikapi bhagavat paradevataya Piche piparshitanushi suhridatmanor atmanorte kim va mrigan mrigayase vipini pramattan. Ka, who, tvam, are you? Chikirshasi, are you trying to do? Cha also Kim Wat Muni Varya, O best of Munis, Shaile, on this hill, Maya illusory potency, Asi, are you copy some Bhagavat, the Supreme Person of Godhead, Paradevataya, of the Transcendental Lord, Vijay, without strings, Piparshi, you are carrying, Danushi, two bows, Suhrit, of a friend, Atmanaha, of yourself, Arte, for the sake, Kimva, or Mrigan, forest animals. Mrigayase, are you trying to hunt? Vipine, in this forest. Pramatan, who are materially maddened. Translation. The prince mistakenly addressed the Apsara. O best of saintly persons, who are you? Why are you on this hill? And what do you want to do? Are you of the illusory potent? Are you one of the illusory potencies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? You seem to be carrying two bows without strings. What is the reason you carry these bows? Is it for some purpose of your own or for the sake of a friend? Perhaps you carry them to kill the mad animals in the forest. Purport. While undergoing severe penances in the forest, Agnidra was captivated by the movements of Purvachitti, the girl sent by Lord Brahma. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Kamaistaistairitagyana. When one becomes lusty, he loses his intelligence. Therefore, Agnidra, having lost his intelligence, could not distinguish whether Purvachitti was male or female. He mistook her for a Muniputra, the son of a saintly person, in the forest, and addressed her as Munivarya because of her personal beauty. However, he could not believe her to be a boy. He therefore began studying her features. First he saw her two eyebrows, which were so expressive that he wondered whether he or she might be the Maya of the Supreme Person of Godhead. The words used in this connection are Bhagavat Paradevataya. Devata means Devata, the demigods, all belong to this material world, whereas Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is always beyond this material world. and is therefore known as Paradevata. The material world is certainly created by Maya, but it is created under the direction of Paradevata, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Maya Dhyakshena Prakriti Shuatesha Characharam. Maya is not the ultimate authority for the creation of this material world. Maya acts on behalf of Krishna. Purvachitti's eyebrows were so beautiful that Agnidra compared them to bows without strings. He therefore asked her whether they were to be used for her own purposes or for the sake of someone else. Her eyebrows were like bows meant to kill animals in the forest. This material world is like great forest, and its inhabitants are like forest animals such as deer and tigers meant to be killed. The killers are the eyebrows of beautiful women. Captivated by the beauty of the fair sex, all the men of the world are killed by bows without strings, but cannot see how they are killed by Maya. Hmm. It is a fact, however, that they are being killed. Budva Budva Pralyate. By the end of his tapasya, Agnitra could understand how Maya acts under the direction of the Supreme Person of Godhead. The word Pramattan is also significant. Pramatta refers to one who cannot control his senses. The material world is being exploited by people who are Pramatta or Vimuda. Prahlad Maharaj therefore said, Sochetato Vimukha Chetasa Indriyartha Maya Sukhaya Brahma Udvato Vimudan. They are rotting in material activities for transient material pleasure and spoiling their lives, toiling all day and night simply for sense gratification, with no attachment for love of Godhead. I am simply lamenting for them and devising various plans to deliver them from the clutches of Maya. Bhagavad Gita 7:9-43. Karmis who act very seriously for sense gratification are always referred to in the Shastras by such terms as Pramatta Vimukha and Vimuda. They are killed by Maya. However, one who is apramatta, a sane, sober person, adhira, knows very well that a human being's primary duty is to render service to the Supreme Person. Maya is always ready to kill those who are pramatta with her invisible bows and arrows. Agnitra questioned Purvachita about this. Okay, now we go to six Astakam prayers. चेतोदर्पणमार्जनं भवमहादवाग्निर्वापनं श्रेयः कैरवचन्द्रिकावितरणं विद्यावधूजीवनम् अनन्ताम्बुदिवर्धनं प्रतिपदं पूर्णामृतस्वादनं सर्वात्मास्नपनं परं विजयते श्रीकृष्णसङ्कीर्तनम् नाम्नामकारि बहुधा निज सर्वशक्तिस्तत्रार्पितानि अमिता स्मरणेन काला एतादृशी तव कृपा भगवन्मापि दुर्दैवमीदृशमिह जानिनानुरागः तृणादपि सुनीचेन तरोरपि सहिष्णुना मानिना मानदेन कीर्तनया सदा हरि न धनं न जनं न सुन्दरीं कवितं वा जगदीश कामये मम जन्मनि जन्मनीश्वरे भवतद्भक्तिरहैतुकी त्वयि हैनन्दतनुज किङ्करं पतितं मामिषमे भवाम्बुधौ कृपा तव पादपङ्कजा स्थिततूले सदृशं विचिन्तया नामङ्गलदश्रुधारया वदनं गद्गदारुद्धया गिरा पुलकर्निचितं वपुः कदा तव नाम ग्रहणे भविष्यति युगायितं निमेषेण चक्षुषा प्रविश्य इदं शून्ययितं जगत्सर्वं गोविन्दविरहे नमे अश्लिष्यवापादरतं पिनष्टुमानम् अदर्शनान् मर्महतं करोतु वा यथा तथा वा विदधातु लम्पतो मत्प्राणनाथस्तु स एव न परः Ribble translation.
Very poor. Prabhu, should I read?
Yes, bro.
Glory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtana, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the blazing fire of conditional life of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtana movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large, because it spread the rays of benediction moon. It is life and life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benedictions to the living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental images. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of your kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by chanting your names. But I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. Why should one should chant the holy name of the Lord in humble state of mind, thinking myself lower than destroying the state. One should be more tolerant than Italy, devoid of all sense of falsification, and ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want the causeless devotional service birth after birth. O son of Maharaj Nanda, I am your Krishna, I am your eternal servitor. Yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms of your lotus feet. O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when you chant your holy name? When will the voice when will my voice choke up and when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? O Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering to be a moment like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he handles me roughly in his embrace or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord unconditionally. Shri Shikshashtakam ki jai, Shri
Jai.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai.
Jai.
बहुजन्म करे यदि श्रवण कीर्तन तबु तन पाए कृष्ण पदे प्रेम धन. If one is infested with the 10 offenses in the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, despite his endeavor to chant the holy name for many gods, he will not get the love of Godhead, which is the ultimate goal of this chanting. The offenses against the chanting of the holy names are as follows. First offense is to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy names of the Lord. Second offense to consider the names of demigods like Lord Brahma or Lord Shiva to be equal to or independent of the name of Lord Vishnu. Third offense is to consider the to disobey the orders of spiritual master or to consider him as an ordinary person. Fourth offense is to blaspheme the devotees. Fourth offense is to blaspheme the Vedic literature in pursuance of Vedic version. Fifth offense to consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be an imagination. Sixth offense to give some interpretation on the holy name of the Lord. Seventh offense to commit sinful activities in the strength of the holy name of the Lord. Eighth offense to consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious activities offered in the Vedas as fruitive activities karma kanda. Ninth offense to instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name. And tenth offense to not have complete faith in chanting of the holy names and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success Krishna Prema. Now let us offer our respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They can fulfill the desires of everyone just like desire trees, and they are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. Vancha kalpatarubhishya kripa sindhubhyo cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah.